You're listening to another episode of the Young Investors Podcast, so sit back and relax as myself, Brandon, and my buddy Hamish discuss the latest in the world of finance and stock market investing. Now, a quick reminder before we get into the podcast is that nothing in this podcast should be taken on as personal financial advice. If you're ever unsure about your finances or investing and you need some help, make sure you reach out to a qualified financial advisor. But with all that said, let's get into another episode of the Young Investors Podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to yet another episode, heading towards the end of the year. It's almost Christmas season. Woohoo.
It's ridiculous,
Get around
right?
it. Is your family big into Christmas?
Yeah, moderately. I wouldn't say overly big into it, but we usually do a couple of get-togethers, I guess. But yeah, it's crazy how quickly this year has gone.
It's kind of weird how quickly it's gone because, I feel like this year should have been slow.
Yeah,
because we've all been, sitting at home, not doing anything and whatnot. But it's gone really quick. Like we're almost going into the last month of 2020. I mean, what?
Yeah, and I've pretty much done absolutely nothing this entire year.
Well, that's the thing. We haven't been able to do anything. Yeah. I mean, we've just worked.
Working,
That's been it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been good to put your head down and kind of get so much stuff done, I suppose. But in terms of holidays and whatnot, it's just nope.
Speaking of getting your head down, Jesus, what are you doing in December?
Oh yeah,
your 25 videos in 25 days.
Instant regret. Nah, because I tell you what, I Stephen Mark Ryan from Solving the Money Problem.
I don't actually.
No, you don't. He does just a lot of Tesla related videos and Tesla stock and that sort of thing. That's why I follow him. Really funny guy. Great videos too. But he has been putting out 1 or 2 videos a day, which is insane. And we were having a bit of a comment back and forth. And I was like, man, he did a video on how much he's earning from YouTube because his channel's only been going for a year, basically exactly a year. And his first couple of months were 4,000-5,000, went up to 10,000. And then recently, some of his months have been $30,000, $40,000 just from YouTube. I mean, this is insane.
How big is his channel? How many?
It's about 150, I think.
Right,
150K.
Okay. So right about your size. Okay.
Yeah, about my size, but he gets a lot more views. He gets at least kind of 30,000 views on each one of his videos.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and if you're pumping out a video a day, that's
what I was saying. I watched that video of his and I was like, I commented, I was like, dude, you got to tell me how you're doing this because I need to get on your level. And he was basically saying, just don't get bogged down in editing. Nobody cares about fancy edits. Just make more content, be as consistent as you can. And so I'm going to try that. I'm going to try doing 25 videos in 25 days.
Yeah.
The new money advent calendar. So please get around it. Obviously it's going to start when you're listening to this, it's going to start on Tuesday, the 1st of December. And then from there, it's just bang, 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 bang. And you're going to be involved as well. So that's going to be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
We're going to do at least one video. Maybe I can get you on for a second video.
That would be awesome.
If I'm lucky.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm sure we'll have plenty of topics we can smash through a couple of videos for. Yeah, that'd be good.
But I got a lot of YouTubers coming on. I was surprised at how many people got back to me. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I got Richard from The Plain Bagel. I got Nate O'Brien. I've got Gally from Hyperchange. Just a whole stack of YouTubers. Investing with Tom. Just so many. So yeah, I'm really pumped for it. I hope I can do it. I don't know. If I commit to something, generally I end up doing it. I'll do anything to make sure that I can meet that commitment. But man, I have been doubting. It's man, am I going to end up releasing 1-minute videos?
Nah, you can definitely do it. I reckon you can do it. It's one of those things where I feel like if you're accountable for it, then you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to stick to it. And it's not like it's some undoable thing. It's just that it's so challenging when you're used to doing, 2 or 3 a week or whatever it is. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Fingers crossed, eh? Fingers crossed. All right, should we get stuck into things?
Yes. So today's episode is sponsored by Sharesight, and Sharesight is an application that you can use to track the performance of your stock portfolio, and it will allow you basically to keep track of all of the different types of gains that you experience when you're investing in the stock market. So capital gains, dividends. If you have dividend reinvestment plans, it will do all of those calculations for you, which is a lifesaver. Currency gains, if you're buying shares internationally or hold foreign currencies. Currency is a big one, especially if you're investing in the US. There is a substantial change going on at the moment between the US dollar and the Australian dollar, and that has a tangible impact on your return. So if you're not tracking that, you really don't know, what your real return is. So being able to track that without putting in any effort is a lifesaver. And then the main reason why I use it is when it comes to tax time. So Sharesight generates up to 10 different reports that can be easily used at tax time to work out things such as your capital gains, your dividend income, and more. And at the moment, you can try Sharesight for free by heading over to sharesight.com/younginvestors. That's site spelled SIGHT, sharesight.com/younginvestors. You can use that link to sign up to a free plan, and you can use it forever. And then if you want to sign up to a paid plan and get more features, access more reports and that sort of thing, benchmarking, then you can use that link to get 4 months free when you sign up to a yearly subscription. So go check it out if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Where should we start, hey? Where should we start today? Did you see Trump during the week? Did you see his 1-minute press conference?
I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen a few people make jokes about it, so I have to go and watch it now.
It's so funny. It's so bizarre because he literally does, I'm not joking, it is a 1-minute press conference. And what he does is he walks in and he's just like, so the Dow Jones is over 30,000 for the first time or something. Was it the Dow Jones?
Yeah, the Dow Jones.
Yep. Yeah, the Dow Jones, 30,000. And he was like, it's great effort by the entire administration. It's like, yeah, because the administration is the one that, if they work an extra hour, then the Dow's going to go up that evening. So what the hell? He's like, very proud of this administration. Dow Jones over 30,000. It's very good. It's first time Trump administration. We've had stock market high after stock market high, 30,000 Dow 30,000 Dow 30,000 Dow. And then that was basically it. Then he just walked off. Yeah.
Trump.
Bizarre.
He's because during the week, right, a few of his court cases were thrown out, I think. So I think it's been, it was kind of over, but now it's over.
It's really over.
Yeah.
Well, his I don't know. There's some lady that's in charge of transition of power or like helping Biden get up to speed and in office.
Right.
And she's now been advised to help with the transition as much as possible. So
right. Okay. So that's a bit of an indication.
And I think that that direction officially comes from Donald Trump. So I think that's pretty set in stone that they have to get things moving over to Joe Biden. I think there's like a $10 million fund that's approved by the president to help the incoming president get up to speed and transition. And that, I think he was withholding funds. Trump was withholding funds, and now he's finally approved that. Right. I think Biden's now getting those defense what do you call them? Briefings as well that Trump was blocking. So yeah, it seems like Trump is coming to the sad reality for him. He doesn't like to lose, but you got to lose sometimes.
Sometimes you got to lose.
Sometimes you got to lose, especially if no one likes you. I think that's the thing that's very hard for Donald Trump to realize is that when people don't like you, generally they don't vote for you. And so sad for Donald Trump, but see you later. Go play golf for the rest of your life.
Well, the thing is as well, though, he's still president for 2 more months or something? And I just saw something he can do a lot of things in that time.
Yeah, he gave that pardon this morning.
Yeah, I was just about to say. So he just gave a pardon for Michael Flynn, which I don't really know. I wasn't up to speed with what was going on there. But according to this Bloomberg article, he was found guilty of lying to the FBI twice. Right. So I don't know what else he did or anything like that, but that's something that the president can do. give a pardon. So
Can he pardon himself? I don't know.
himself,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know how it works.
I don't.
Surely.
Yeah,
no one's above the law, surely.
You wouldn't think so.
To be honest, I'm quite surprised that this pardon business exists. Like, what the hell? The president can just like scrap any like charges against you, or like if you're thrown in jail. Like, I think that's how it works. I'm not entirely sure.
It is,
It's just
yeah.
like-
But is I don't know. I don't really know. Does he have
so
like
it's like no one's above the law except the president. It's like, what the hell? That seems, if anything, the person with the most power in the country, you want them to be,
Scrutinized.
definitely the law will crack down on you hard. Otherwise, they'll just abuse their power.
Yeah, and like how many pardons can he give? Does he have like coupons and like they clip one out?
And you get a pardon, and you get a pardon.
Yeah, like what?
Walks
is there a
into a
limit?
jail, gives a speech, and check under your seats. You've all got pardons. Yay, we love you, Trump. Yay.
I don't know. It's weird. I'm sure Trump's going to do some funny things or some strange things over the next couple of months. So with some executive orders and whatever else he can push his weight around with. So we will see what happens, but hopefully he doesn't do anything too damaging.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. I heard something like Joe Biden was saying that one of the first things he's going to do when he gets in is he's going to use executive orders to overturn the executive orders that Trump was signing freely.
That's basically the US government in a nutshell, though. That's like exactly what Trump was doing on Obama's executive orders. So it just goes back and forth. It's like, nope, we're going to go back. We're not doing that anymore.
It's like the US has been stagnant for about 8 years because Obama implemented all this stuff like the Obamacare, and then the last 4 years has just been Donald Trump trying to dismantle anything that Obama did. It's like, what the hell? Anyway. Politics, eh? I mean, this is why I flipping hate politics, like, truth be told.
Yeah.
I just think that it's just a whole bunch of running around in circles and not really doing anything, to be honest. I mean, I'd much rather follow people that are starting their own businesses and are tackling issues by actually creating products or providing services that are actually appealing to consumers, and that solves an issue in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And governments seem to be very obviously tied up in red tape, and everything seems to go very slowly. Whereas, I mean, if it's a public company, it's in the best interest of the company to get things done,
Yeah.
to get the growth happening and whatnot. So I don't know. I just feel like the system isn't quite right. The political system isn't quite right for actually getting things done. I feel like...
Yeah. You definitely need a balance between both.
When I say things like that, people always tell me that I'm like that Parks and Rec character, but I can't remember what his name is. Have you seen Parks and Rec?
I've seen a little bit of it, but not enough to call on characters.
It's the guy that just hates governments. Oh, what's his name?
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about, but I
Ron Swanson.
Yes, yeah.
Everybody says that I'm Ron Swanson. Now, I haven't actually seen Parks and Rec, so I don't know if I'm just like if I'm just digging a big hole for myself there. But there you go.
I mean, you need government to fund things that are not that private companies won't do because it's not profitable to do so.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's good to have a competitive landscape of businesses that are trying to beat each other. And money is a good motivator for a lot of people. So it kind of works well when you need innovation. But yeah, it's
you take the things I'm thinking and you just have a way to phrase it a million times better than I do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
And like a million times more politically correct.
All right. Where should we go from here? What's the most...
Where should we go from here?
What's the most important thing that happened this week?
Oh God, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? You pick.
All right, maybe we'll go through some vaccine news because we've kind of been doing this on a week by week basis. So may as well keep up to date. And there's actually a fair bit of good news coming out today, or not today, this week. Just before, I'm going to go through a couple of different vaccines that have had their results basically come out. But just before I went through that, I found a study that kind of showed the effectiveness of a typical flu vaccine so that you can kind of put these effectiveness rates into perspective. So there was a study from Lancet Infectious Diseases, which showed that most flu vaccines are about 40 to 60% effective at preventing the flu.
Wow.
So that's a typical flu vaccine that, people are that's kind of the best we can get in terms of a flu vaccine. So the first vaccine, the main one that most people are probably thinking about is Pfizer's. So last week or 2 weeks ago, can't remember, we had the interim results come out for their 2-dose vaccine, and they showed that it was 90% effective, but we were still waiting for the final results to come out. Last week, those final results did come out, and it is now 95% effective. So
wow.
It was even a slight improvement from their initial results.
Fantastic.
Good on them. Good on you, Pfizer.
That's really good.
Yeah, it is. And even when we get it, I'll get into some of the details of it. Some things I would have never considered had I not kind of looked into it. But there's a lot of other things that are really important other than just that 95% number. The first is, of course, the effectiveness for people over 65, because that's kind of probably the most important rate where you want those people to be protected, the most vulnerable people. And the effectiveness for that group was 94%. So pretty much in line with the rest of the group. And they actually had consistent results across both genders, ethnicities, races, and ages, all different types of categories, which is also important, right? It's one thing for it to be 95% effective on average, but if it's really weak in one ethnicity or in one age group or a gender, then that's a bit of a problem. You need to find another vaccine to fill that gap. So consistent results across the board, which is obviously very good.
Good.
They had 9 serious cases of COVID in the trial, but 8 of them came from the placebo group who did not receive the vaccine, and just 1 from the vaccine group out of 45,000 participants. So
wow.
Very, very good. And that's one serious case. There was other cases, but only one case where it was life-threatening, I guess.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's important out of these studies is the safety, of course, and there was no serious safety concerns. The biggest, safety issues or health concerns was in 3.8% of people who took the vaccine, they had reported fatigue, which is pretty typical for a vaccine, and 2% reported a headache. So that's pretty good. Fatigue and a headache. Yeah. I'll take that.
I'll take that if it means I don't get coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'll take a 3.8% chance that I might feel a bit tired.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I've had a flu vaccine, I don't know if this is the case with you, I always get like arm pain and very, very fatigued every single time I get a flu vaccine.
Yeah, your arm feels so heavy.
Yeah. So, 3.8%, that's really, really low. It means most people are probably unlikely to have any side effects at all, which is fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, really good news. So then Pfizer, now that they've had those results come out, they also have the 2 months of required safety data that they need to apply for emergency authorization. So that's kind of to accelerate the approval of the vaccine.
Okay.
And that's with the Food and Drug Administration in the US, and they are going to meet to discuss it on the 9th and 10th of December. So that's when we will hear about that. And Pfizer has now come out with some estimations, and they think that they'll be able to produce 50 million doses by the end of 2020. I think all of them are going to the US though, and then 1.3 billion doses by the end of 2021. So that's kind of the timeline at the moment if they get their emergency approval.
Right. So 1.3. So it's like 650 million people could be properly vaccinated.
Correct.
By the end of 2021. That's not bad actually. Yeah. Awesome, man. So good. Good to actually hear that these results were so damn positive, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess now it's just a matter of what we were talking about. Was it last week? It's just a matter of the manufacturing. That's something that I don't know. How hard is it going to be to actually get your manufacturing output up to speed? But I mean, fingers crossed they can hit these numbers. That'd be fantastic. So many, because I guess these 1.3 billion, so it's a 2-dose, so 650 million, like that's still, and they'd all go to people that would be vulnerable, I would imagine.
Yes,
like I don't think me or you are getting a vaccine anytime soon.
No, not at all.
But I mean, that's so good. If like, say, I don't even know what the mortality rate is now, but it's like if even something high like a 5% mortality rate in those over 70, and you can just treat, like 650 million people over 70 and cure them or vaccinate them for coronavirus. That's going to save a lot of lives, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's it's fascinating because it wasn't that long ago that Bill Gates was sort of talking about this and saying that we've got a few front runners, which is great, but most of these stage 3 trials tend to fail. These vaccines tend to not be effective,
right.
And it's usually just one out of a pack of a lot of vaccine trials that is the successor. So it's fascinating to hear that Pfizer has been successful, and they're not the only one. They have. There's 2 other vaccines that have also got some results out now. So Moderna, a big one that a lot of people are following, basically showed very similar results to Pfizer's vaccine. It's a very similar vaccine to Pfizer's vaccine. Basically, they only have interim results out at the moment, but it's 94.5% effective. So basically exactly the same as Pfizer.
Well, based on current trends, then the Moderna full results could be 99.5% effective.
That is true. I'm sure that's a very scientific way of looking at what the results will be.
That's what happens. Interim results, they always just they take away 5% just on the safe side. Then they add it back in for the final results. I'm sure that's a very scientific thing to do.
Yeah, that's definitely what happened.
It's just a couple of people in a room and they're like, so our vaccine's showing like 99% effectiveness. So what number should we put on the interim results? Probably, look, what do you reckon, Steve? Maybe 80? Oh, no, you reckon 94 point, 94? No, go 94.5 because it sounds a little bit flashier.
Wait.
Sounds more scientific if we put a decimal place in there.
Yeah, what did Pfizer put on their interim results again? 95%? Okay, we'll put 95% too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they should have put 95.5% effective.
Yeah, just a little bit more.
Just to stick it to Pfizer.
Ours is just a little bit better.
What was Pfizer? It was 95% effective. All right, we better go with the 95.5.
Oh dear. So anyway. That's the interim results. Final results will be actually out by the time this podcast is released. Not at the time of recording this, so we don't have that for you. But the final vaccine that we have news on is the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. I don't know. I can't pronounce names.
Yeah, something like that.
But that vaccine has also got their interim results out, and those results are 70 to 90% effective depending on the size of the dose. So interesting story with this vaccine. I hope I get this right because I haven't written it down here, but I read an article before. Basically, early in the trial, they accidentally gave some of the participants half a dose instead of a full dose. So they got their 2 doses. Everyone got 2 doses, but some of the participants on that first dose got a half dose. So they really got 1.5 overall. But what happened was the people who had less of a dose had the 90% effectiveness rate, whereas the people who had the higher dose had a 70% effectiveness rate. And I don't understand the science behind that. But
so it stands to reason, the less vaccine you take, the more effective it is.
To the point where...
Wait a second. Is that what you're telling me, Hamish?
Yes.
The less... So one could extrapolate these results and say, if you were to have no vaccine... that would be the most effective vaccine. Is that what you're telling me, Hamish?
I think that's the logical conclusion that we can draw here. Yeah.
That is the logical conclusion that we can draw here. Wow. Now this puts a spanner in the works, Hamish.
This is a breaking news story. This is a scoop.
Title of the podcast: Oxford vaccine proves coronavirus vaccines don't work.
The less of the Oxford vaccine you take, the better.
The better. Oh gosh. Before we move on, we've got to say, asterisk, we are being sarcastic. We always get one comment that's like, I can't believe you'd say something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, that was sarcasm there. Obviously, we definitely are not anti-vaxxers.
But very interesting, right? I did read through the science, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't really understand what it was talking about with why the higher dose was less effective, but very interesting. An accident allowed them to find a dose that was more effective than their original study.
How bizarre. How bizarre. How bizarre.
Very bizarre. All right. Well, that's my vaccine news for us.
Vaccine talk with Hamish. Stay tuned next week.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Next week we probably won't have anything, but the week after we may have some news out of the FDA to see if they get that Pfizer approval.
So make sure you're subscribed to the Young Investors Podcast, your only podcast providing you with the most up-to-date information on coronavirus vaccines.
Exactly.
It's not got very much to do with the stock market. I just checked Pfizer's stock and it's done nothing. It's it's gone up since the end of October, but I don't know, like the last week or so it hasn't done all that much.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. Hey, this is a story we didn't get to last week that I wanted to get to. I actually just made a video about it. Just released it today. And I am, as per usual, getting destroyed in the comments. Why? Because I had an opinion on Bitcoin that was not positive.
Never go anti-Bitcoin on YouTube.
Never go anti-Bitcoin.
Yeah, big mistake.
You just get... one thing that I messed up, though, is on that video, I forgot that because we're getting so much spam on YouTube, one of my blocked words is crypto and another one is Bitcoin. So all of my comments were being held for review and I didn't mean that. I didn't do that to try and block people that wanted to talk about Bitcoin. We just do it
Brandon,
because
how dare you censor people?
But for people that don't know, we're being dead serious. The finance space has been overrun with spam.
Yeah.
It's insane. I was getting 2 spam comments for every 1 legitimate comment, and they were all obviously scams, and the best way to scam people is through trying to get them to send you Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Because it can't be traced. So
it's kind of ridiculous, right? Like sometimes for fun, if I'm bored, I will just refresh my comments and try and keep up. I'll try and delete them.
It's so hard.
You just can't delete them all. There's just so many coming in, especially on the videos that have a lot of traction. Like I only have a couple that have over 100,000 views, but on those videos, it's constant, just constant comments.
It's brutal. It's really brutal. Anyway, so a lot of the comments I found that are spam have the words Bitcoin or crypto in them. So I just blocked those. Also, I blocked Sir and Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
Did you do that
Sir
as well?
Sir's a good one. That's a good,
Sir,
because that's always
Sir
there.
Adam someone, that was a common one. So I just blocked the word Sir. Because I mean, any normal person would never write a comment with the word Sir in it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
We're going off track. Anyway, what was I saying? That's right. I made a video on Ray Dalio's thoughts on Bitcoin because recently he shared his thoughts on Bitcoin via Twitter. Who would have thought? So pretty interesting. Actually, I can read you what he said. He basically raised 3 points as to why he doesn't believe that Bitcoin is going to be an effective currency at any time in the not too distant future. I agree with his points, and that's why I'm being destroyed on YouTube right now. But anyway, this is what he said. He says, I might be missing something about Bitcoin, so I'd love to be corrected. My problems with Bitcoin being an effective currency are simple. They are that 1, Bitcoin is not very good as a medium of exchange because you can't buy much with it. I presume that's because it's too volatile for most merchants to use, but correct me if I'm wrong. 2, it's not very good as a storehold of wealth because its volatility is great and has little correlation with the prices of what I need to buy, so owning it doesn't protect my buying power. And 3, if it becomes successful enough to compete and be threatening enough to currencies that governments control, then the governments will outlaw it, and that will make it very dangerous to use. So, yeah, they're basically his 3 points. And I have to say, I do agree with him. I mean, do you agree? I think the number one reason why Bitcoin can't currently be used as an effective currency is just because of its volatility. I think that's absolutely the number one reason. Yeah,
I mean, just nobody uses it as far as I'm aware. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm happy to be corrected, but as far as I'm aware,
no, you're right.
People don't use it as a currency. all I see
I was
about,
looking just to butt in. I was just going to say that I looked at some differing articles and actually some research studies as well.
Yeah.
And anywhere between 2 to 30% of transactions with Bitcoin actually have any economic value whatsoever.
Yeah,
So
right. Okay.
it's obviously a wide range, but less than a third of all Bitcoin transactions have any sort of economic value.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
That's really helpful. I mean, all I was going to say was that all I see for people talking about crypto is investing in it.
Exactly.
As if it's going to then become something where people use it widely. And I mean, I can get with an idea that we have some kind of cryptocurrency that is decentralized, that doesn't rely on a trust system with banks and a Visa and a MasterCard to authorize transactions. I can see that at some point, but I have no reason to believe why Bitcoin would be the one. Like, why would it be Bitcoin? Why couldn't it be one that a really big company that has a lot of people's information already, like a Facebook, creates a cryptocurrency that is the one that people end up using? Why wouldn't it go that way?
Or why wouldn't? I mean, the thing is, I think a lot of people believe in this blockchain technology, where it's a diversified kind of network of computers around the world that continually update this digital ledger and keep it accurate, and that kind of makes it so secure. But the thing that gets me is that governments really like to control their currency because they like to be able to manipulate it if they need to. Like, central banks manipulate their own currency in order to achieve certain economic outcomes, whether it be encouraging more borrowing or whatever it might be. That's obviously what we're seeing at the moment. It's just like, would governments just get together, shake hands and say, okay, we're all together going to say Bitcoin is now illegal, and we're going to do that so that we can still control our own currencies? I feel like, the governments write the rules, right? So
yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I think that's possible. But I mean, and I think that's probably, maybe even that's a likely outcome. But even in a world where that doesn't happen, where the government's like, you know what, let's have a cryptocurrency, like, that's fine. Even in a world of that, why would it be Bitcoin? That's the one. Just because it's the biggest at the moment.
True.
Like, there's nothing stopping people from right now moving their Bitcoin into another cryptocurrency because that one seems more popular.
Yeah.
And I feel like the price of Bitcoin right now, as it was in 2017, is propped up by people investing and betting on it being higher in the future.
It's just gambling. Yeah.
So that's my view on it. But yeah, it's not a popular view on YouTube. People who are into Bitcoin are very vocal.
They are.
They love
really
sharing their opinion.
Yeah. I guess the reason that Bitcoin's now taking the headlines again is because it's charged up. If you haven't seen it, it's charged up a lot. What's this? Since the when of the when? Since 18th of September, it's up 70%. So it's now currently 1 Bitcoin equals 25,500 Australian dollars.
Wow. It's pushing all-time highs, I think. I think that's just about where it was.
It is probably an all-time high, I would say.
It was just about where it was before it collapsed in 2017.
25,700, that's where it was. So it's a couple $100 off.
Right.
But yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, going back to his first 2 points, imagine if we were using Bitcoin as everyday currency. And then, since 2017, Bitcoin has gone from 1,500 Australian dollars, I'm just looking at the chart, up to 26,000 Australian dollars, back down to 4,500, and now back up to 25,500. So it's like, it just would not be effective at all. Like, how would you even use that as a currency? Firstly, if you're a big believer in Bitcoin, you wouldn't want to buy anything because you would just want to hold your Bitcoin. It's like, you still got, you'd be living, if you had a currency that could go like 10x in the next year, you'd live the whole year just eating 85-cent loaves of white bread just to hold on to to hold on to as much Bitcoin as possible. But at the same time, like, imagine if you're a business and Bitcoin price keeps changing, you're adjusting your prices or whatever to, I don't know. And then it's just like, all of a sudden Bitcoin tanks from 25 grand down to 4,500. It's like, what the hell? That doesn't help anyone.
Yeah. You go out and buy something, and then you just scroll the price of Bitcoin, and it goes up like 10% in that like, while you're in the line. Damn it. If I had just waited 5 hours, I could have gotten this car 10% cheaper because the value of Bitcoin's risen.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I don't know. But, are we missing something? If you're a cryptocurrency expert out there, I mean, that's the one thing I like about Ray Dalio is that the first thing he leads with is, I might be missing something about Bitcoin, so I'd love to be corrected.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the people that I like to follow.
Yeah.
When they're always, no matter how old they are, how much money they've made, they're always open to hearing people's opinions and changing their mind. I think that's a very underrated skill that some people possess, is being able to change your mind.
Yeah. I think one of Ray Dalio's most famous quotes is, you should always assume that the person you're talking with knows something that you don't know. I think that's a good way to live your life. Like, you don't have to like take everything they say as gospel, but you can just have that kind of mental trick where you go, maybe what they're saying is right. Like, let's just consider that for a second, because so many people and everyone does this at some point. You just kind of don't consider someone's opinion at all from the get-go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of dangerous. Even if it's a wild opinion, you can consider it. And you can learn something from
especially
people.
If you're an investor. That's a very important skill, because at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense for you to just discount people or discount opinions because it doesn't agree with yours. Because at the end of the day, as an investor, you just want to know what's true.
Yeah,
like you just want to know what is correct. So I mean, you got to consider all things and then try and figure it out. Because people that are correct, investors that find out what is true, do very well. Investors who believe what they think is true often make mistakes and end up not making any money whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly right. And with that note, the next sponsor of our video is Coinbase. You can get one free Bitcoin. One
free Bitcoin? Holy smokes. Yes, please.
There's a lot of that in this, not one free Bitcoin, but there's a lot of people doing promos for Coinbase as well. So I'm sure.
Yeah, I've been seeing that lately.
I've seen too much of it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that in there. A lot of people I'm sure are very much behind Bitcoin, and some people are just behind making money.
Pumping it.
Yeah.
If you give me money, I'll say whatever you want. Yeah. Pretty much.
Exactly right.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Is that all we had to talk about for Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think so.
Talk about anything else? Okay. Let's get into this next news story, and then we'll do a bit of maybe some Q&A after this. I don't know. Oh, no, we've still got a little bit to talk about, I guess. One thing that I just saw pop up is that Google will now report how much was spent on political advertising in Australia.
Oh.
Apparently, this has been happening for a couple of years in the US, but now it's coming to Australia, which I think is a great feature. I think that's really good. So let's have a read. Google is bringing its political ad reporting to Australia, and for the first time, we will see how much money parties and other groups spend to target us with ads on its search engine, YouTube, and elsewhere in the network. This change will bring more transparency to how parties run their online campaigns, including how much is spent on ads targeting certain groups of voters. A Google spokesman has confirmed the system, which, go away, Google. No, go away. I just activated it again. I need to leave my phone out of the room. Yeah. Anyway, a spokesperson has confirmed the system, which the US has had since 2018, will be running in Australia early next year.
Wow.
In Australia, political parties are not required to disclose the details of their ad spending, so this will help greatly with transparency.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
That's fascinating. I didn't even know they did that in the US. So that's something they do in the US, and now they're kind of bringing it to Australia. That's fascinating. And I presume they just have like a website that they have set up or something.
I guess so. You can just log on and see. Yeah, they showed an example, which was a New Zealand example, and yeah, it was just like a table essentially. It just had like whatever the Labor Party and this party and that party, and it just had a table of total advertising spend, $250 something thousand and blah blah blah. And so yeah, I imagine it would just be a website you can go on and have a look.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
It's interesting.
Say here. So the Google Political Advertising Transparency Report is an updated searchable database. There we go. It's an updated searchable database that shows the total amount being spent on political ads per group, including individuals, political parties, and any other group running ads on electoral matters. It also shows how much is being spent on each specific ad. It shows the ads platform, whether it be YouTube or Google search. It shows the number of impressions it's achieved, and it shows who the ad is targeted at, age, gender, and location. There you go. So you could actually learn a lot from looking at this.
Yeah.
If you were a party that's trying to figure out how to best reach voters, I would be watching this like a hawk. If you're getting information about how many impressions the ads are having for each dollar of advertising spend and who they're targeting and where that, age, gender, location, how they're targeting people, you can actually learn a lot.
Yeah, it's fascinating that they break it down into groups. That'll be really interesting come the next big election. But I also wonder, what impact do political ads have on who people vote for? I'd love to know that.
I don't think it impacts people that have a decent brain on them. But I think we forget that a lot of the human population is quite uneducated. I mean, we saw just in America. I mean, there was Donald Trump claimed that the election was being stolen, and then live on TV, one of the Americans over there just came out, started screaming his head off, saying the Biden crime family is stealing the election. So, I mean, I feel like actually a lot of people are very susceptible to having their opinions swung by just what they see. I was watching an interview, Stephen Colbert, with Barack Obama last night, and Barack Obama was talking about how it's almost like people are, the people are interested in conspiracy, and the people are actually seeking, untruths and conspiracy theories because they want to get behind it. I mean, that seems bizarre. Don't you just want to know what's true and what's false? But it seems like the trend now is that people are actually seeking out conspiracy. Like they want some elaborate false narrative that they can, believe or something. I just don't understand. But
yeah, I think people like to think that there's more going on than what is being truthfully told. And the truth is that some things that are conspiracies do turn out to have actually happened. And there's been some crazy shit that has happened that, say, like the US government has done. And it's like those small instances that fuel the rest of the conspiracies that are crazy. But yeah, how do we get into conspiracies? What are we talking about? Political ads. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Oh, you're just saying that how are people, how are people's minds swung just through political advertising?
I guess the problem with a lot of ads is it's kind of just throwing mud at the other candidates, and a lot of the time it can be just unsubstantiated claims.
Yeah.
If they're ads that are kind of just bringing people to be aware of certain policies, then that's certainly a good thing. And I mean, I'm sure it's been the case many times that someone has seen an ad and has not heard of certain policies before, and that has kind of sparked some interest in politics or sparked an interest in changing who they vote for typically. But there is a lot of ads that's just throwing mud.
You want one rule which I would be totally behind, I would love to see it, is when it comes to political advertising, you're only allowed to talk about your own party.
Yeah, you mentioned this a while ago.
Did I mention that?
Yeah, I think you mentioned this at some point.
I would love to see. So all political advertising where you mention another political party that's not your own is illegal. You're not allowed to do it. You cannot mention another political party or a person from another political party. All political advertising has to be about your own party.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
I don't know. I mean, then you would just have parties just saying things that, no one's challenging. Because if
that's true.
Because if you could just say whatever you want about your own party and no one can kind of fact check you. I mean, you need fact checking on both sides. You need people fact checking what you're saying about your own party, but you need people fact checking back what people are saying about the other party. And it's like,
true. Because otherwise, you could just make. Yeah, that's a good point. You could just make an ad where it's just like, we're going to spend $800 trillion on rebuilding our education system.
And the other party's like, what? No, they're not. Like,
no, they're not. But we can't say that.
Anything.
No, that's true. That's true. But man, surely there's got to be a way where we can weed out all of the junk where it's just like all of the scare tactics. I hate the scare tactics. Oh, did you know that if you vote for them, your taxes are going to go up by 10%? That could be crippling to your wallet every year. That could mean hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I just wish that scare tactics weren't a thing.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Fear is a big motivator.
Yeah, I don't know what you do about that because you don't want. There's a very fine line between limiting. Letting people kind of give their own criticism of other parties and having as much information out there as possible. And obviously you want some fact checking in there, but then who's doing the fact checking? Is someone fact checking the fact checker? And it's like, you don't want Facebook I wouldn't want Facebook doing it because they're just a private business and they might have their own agenda. And, it's a whole mess of a system where it's so complicated that a lot of the things you can't fact check. Like,
I wonder if independent fact checking companies are a thing.
There are. And there are some very good ones. I can't name any off the top of my head, but I know when I was following some of the US politics, there are some that are very well recognized and they do like all different levels of fact checking. Like either it's flat out false or it's up for opinion or it's exaggerated or so on and so forth. So there are sites like that, but they're not you don't see them on ads. You don't see them, where, they're not right next to the information that you're looking at. So unless you seek that out specifically, which very few people would do that, they're not that useful for changing the opinion or helping people make better decisions. But yeah, it's a bit of a mess of a system. That's probably always going to be a mess. So what do you do?
There you go. What do you do? What do you do? Ron Swanson, just ban the government. No more government. Dear. Man, what a shambles that would be. Anyway, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Q&As now, or do you want to talk about any other news stories?
Yeah, let's get into some Q&A. Let's we haven't gone through a few Q&As in a long time. We've done like one here and there. We can get through a couple here, I think.
Yeah, and definitely leave us some more Q&As. If you have like a question about anything, could be anything, definitely head over to the YouTube version of the podcast and feel free to ask us a question. We'll probably we were saying we're going to mention this earlier and we totally forgot about it. We're probably going to have a week off over Christmas maybe, or around then, maybe 1 or 2 weeks off. We'll see how we go. But we still want to get a podcast out to you. So we might just gather up a whole bunch of questions and maybe do like a little pre-recorded Q&A podcast to come out so that you guys still have something to listen to that's actually of value as opposed to listening to your auntie at Christmas time talking about her political opinions. You can list our political opinions instead.
Way better.
Way better.
So good.
No, but yeah, if you have a question, then head over to, youtube.com/The Young Investors Podcast.
Correct.
And leave us a question and yeah, feel free to ask us anything. No question is a silly question. All right, where should we start? How about this one? Hey guys, do you ever find yourself experiencing confirmation bias as you go deeper into a company and it becomes more time consuming? If so, how do you rein this in and check yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if you ever Do you ever kind of catch yourself with confirmation bias? I don't know. I feel like if you have confirmation bias, you don't really know what's happening. So you kind of just have to run some checks you have to always be doing certain things to kind of keep that in check. I mean, just kind of basic things like coming up with an analysis on the other side of your analysis. So trying to argue for the other side, seeking out other opinions. Seeking Alpha is a fantastic site for getting access to other people's analysis. And I mean, you don't know how much sort of effort or work they've put into that analysis, but it's good to hear kind of other perspectives, and then you can kind of investigate those things deeper. But yeah, I think everyone is going to, especially once you've invested in a company, it's going to be very challenging you're going to need something significant to happen for you to then sell out of that business and change your mind on it. So that's where confirmation bias gets really worrying, like not worrying, but something that you want to keep an eye on, that you're making sure you're checking it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that with the question about, whether you experience confirmation bias based on, just the sheer amount of time that you've put into a company. And it's almost like I've spent like 3 days reading annual reports or whatever, and I should just invest in it now. I've spent so much time.
Yeah.
I don't think I experience that too much, because at the end of the day, I mean, investing is not, I mean, you don't make money from investing by reading X amount of annual reports. I mean, you make money by being right. So if you're like maybe 3 months into your research process and you just find something that's like, nah, this is too risky of an investment, then I typically won't feel any sort of confirmation bias like I need to invest in it because I put so much effort into researching it. Because at the end of the day, I just go back to the thought, well, if this is a high risk investment, even though I've spent 3 weeks or 3 months or however long researching it, I mean, if I'm not correct, if I get this wrong, then I'm going to lose money. So if it's a bad company, then I won't let the time taken to research it dictate whether I make an investment in it or not. But yeah, I think that's it. I think just generally on confirmation bias, it's like the best way to deal with confirmation bias is to fully understand that no matter how much you try and avoid it, we're just humans, and humans experience confirmation bias. I mean, that's just full stop. I experience it, Hamish experiences it, you experience it. We all have something in our lives where we've succumbed to confirmation bias. So I think what you were talking about before is exactly the thing you need to do, where you're just like, okay, I know, I love Tesla. Elon Musk fanboy, get around it. He's awesome. I know that I'm going to experience some sort of confirmation bias towards Tesla as an electric car manufacturer. So what you have to do is you have to have the discipline to go and read all of the anti-Tesla opinions out there and see if there's anything there that could be true. And then the process, you know that the investment will be good is if you find all of the anti-Tesla arguments and you can prove them wrong. If you can prove them wrong, then you know you're on the right track. But if you can't prove them wrong, then you need to go into more depth. I mean, personally, I know this is not really what you want to do, but I actually follow a lot of anti-Tesla people on Twitter so that I can see what they're coming up with. I don't really fight with them. I don't comment on anything that they say, but I just listen. Like, what are you coming up with this week? What do you think? This, that, short selling? Why are you shorting it? Blah blah blah. What do you think about this and that? Just so that I can kind of, I don't know, check myself. I guess.
Yeah, I think that's good, and it's certainly easier to do that with like really big like companies that a lot of people are focused on and that people have really divisive opinions on. I think Tesla's one where you would find a lot of people on both sides. So you can kind of get a nice balance. Bit harder if you're looking at, a smaller Australian company, for example, or, just a smaller company in general, I guess. That's not, anything special that people are attracted towards. Can be trickier to find a lot of opinions on it. But yeah, that's absolutely true. And the other thing is just there's no rush. Like there's no rush to, if you spend 3 months looking at a stock and then it turns out you find something about the management team you don't like, that's fine. What does Warren Buffett say? If you find 10 good ideas over your lifetime, you're good. So that means, you don't have to, after the 3 months is up, it's not like you have to put some money in something. You can just wait a little while, try find something else.
Yeah.
And it might serve you well.
Yep. Agree.
All right. I'll read this next one to you. Got a question for the Q&A. When investors use third-party brokerage sites like Stake or what is that, Sharesight in New Zealand?
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't heard of that one.
No, me neither.
How do we know our money is safe, and how do we have confidence that the shares are owned by us as an individual? What's the difference between using third-party brokerage and a bank's brokerage service?
Yeah, good questions. I'm not an expert on this. I actually did talk to the guys at Stake about these topics, but I can't remember. I think I made a video about it once. I just can't quite remember. But I guess one of the things that I like to check is, well, obviously the difference firstly between, a third party kind of brokerage and a bank's brokerage is that usually the third party be cheaper, but you're giving up something. So usually giving up, whether it be like a customer service thing or you're giving up actual branches that you can walk to and ask questions and blah, blah, blah. But obviously you get cheaper brokerage. The thing about the one thing to check, I think, is that whether if you're using a smaller broker, what happens to your money if they go bust? For instance, I think Stake has, I should look this up, but Stake has, your portfolio is insured up to an enormous sum of money if Stake were to go bankrupt.
Right.
And I think it's something to do with the chess sponsorship as well, isn't it? Because then if one goes bust, you can just transfer to another broker if your holdings are chess sponsored in Australia.
Right.
I think that's how it works. But to be honest, I need to do more research on this. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much. All I know is from you that Stake has insurance on their portfolios. All I know is basically what you just said. I won't do the disservice of just repeating what you said. So yeah.
I'm just trying to see if I can find the Stake FAQ. I mean, go to Stake FAQ and just have a look, because they answer, like, all of these questions are extremely common, and they've taken the time to answer them properly. But I just conveniently can't find it right now. I'm just looking, but no, I can't find it. But yeah, definitely just go and look at, Stake FAQs. But yeah, should we do one more question?
Yeah, go for it.
Now I need to get back to the Young Investors podcast. Now I completely, geez, I'm a shambles. What's going on? I just closed down my Young Investors Google Doc tab. That was dumb of me. All right, I'm back. Everybody. What one should we do? We'll do this last one?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Currently, the US dollar has been sliding versus my currency, attributing to approximately 4% loss in my portfolio, all in the US markets. When it comes to tax time, can I write these losses off against my capital gains?
Oh, okay. That's an interesting question. First of all, I don't know what country you're in, so I can't tell you specifically, but generally speaking, probably in most areas, if you're in Australia, for example, let's go with that. Again, this isn't tax advice. I'm still no expert in the Australian law, but you would have to have a realized gain in order for you to be using the losses from currency. So it's not as if, just because you have a 4% loss from stocks that you hold, you can't do anything there. But if you sold them, then the change in currency would contribute to whether you had a capital gain or a capital loss. That's my understanding.
True, yeah. It needs to all be realized.
So once you sell an investment, you're considering the price that you paid versus the price you sold it for, and that includes the currency exchange. And that's also why something like Sharesight is a lifesaver. Not only can you see what your currency change is when it comes to tax time, you have all of the exchange rates for whichever dates you bought and sold on all logged in there. So you don't have to do any of that painful searching.
Yeah. I guess you can just make a capital gain or loss just on currency, can't you?
You can, yes, and you do need to report
even if you didn't buy any shares with
Correct.
it.
And you do need
I
to
guess that's
report
what Forex is, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just trading currencies.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, okay. So there you go. I wish I knew more about tax. To be honest, that's why I didn't do the tax courses on Profitful myself. That's why I got Scott to do the content there, because that was one of the smartest calls I've ever made in my life, is to not do those tax courses, not to try and battle it out and do it myself, because that would not have worked.
Yeah, tax is just...
Speaking of which, Black Friday sale, I'm just going to plug myself real quick.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Am I going to get a little bit of it's the Young Investors Podcast getting a sponsorship payment for this?
A little kickback for this. Yeah. The last question of every Q&A section is sponsored by Profitful. We can only sponsor this like 2 minutes because that's all we can afford. Sorry.
That'd be
I know Young Investors Podcast, incredibly high ad rates. But no, if you want to learn more about tax on your investments, if you're from Australia, then check out Profitful, because when this comes out, we're doing a Black Friday full weekend long sale where we're basically just really drastically reducing the prices. So we're just going ham. Everyone was just like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do a Black Friday sale, make it real cheap. And I was like, all right, let's go.
awesome.
So go over to Profitful and check it out if you're interested. Now is an opportune time. Are you doing any Black Friday things with your platform?
I'm not. It's actually closed at the moment.
That's right, because you hit. Yeah, you've got a lot of people in there.
Yeah,
now.
it's full. But if you are interested in joining in the future, there will be some spots open in January of next year, I believe. Probably right. January is likely. So you can head over to hamishhotter.com and just click on. There's a link there to join the waitlist if you're interested. But closed at the moment. So no Black Friday sales.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. I think that's just about it. 1 hour.
That's it.
Done. Done. Thanks very much for listening, guys, as always. Definitely head over to the YouTube version. Leave us any questions you might have, and we will we'll put them in either next week, or maybe if we make a Q&A podcast, we'll put them all in there. So yeah, definitely leave us a question. It would be much appreciated. And thanks very much, Hamish, for joining me. Thanks, Sharesight, as always, for sponsoring. Thanks to you guys, most importantly, for listening. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.